What's up? You got Carter. You got Crawford.
Crawford in the house.
Got Demetri James.
Demetri James,
Hello.
welcome.
Man, we are
Thank
excited.
you.
So, DriveWire. DriveWire is the show that is all about getting artists paid on their art. We want to find ways to actually translate. There's too many artists who are too good at their jobs, who are too good at art, who are too good at guitar or photography or visual arts
They're not making
or
money.
writing, and they're not earning.
Not making any money off it.
So let's ask the people who are doing it how to do it.
We ask the questions to give you the money.
That's it.
Well, I mean, I can't guarantee. There's no promises, but we ask the questions to give you the skills and then the knowledge to then learn to then apply to your own life to make the money.
So we're really excited today. We have Demetri James in the house. So this is somebody who's been Juno nominated for songs of his own. This is somebody who's working with Juno level artists. This is somebody who's a partner at F51 Music, who is writers, DJs, producers. Been in the industry for 24 years now.
Well, let's not say that because it's just going to give my age.
I
away.
mean,
20 plus
he's
years.
been started
He's
since he was 5, though. He
there
started
you
when
go.
he was 5.
Hey, there we-
That's not far fetched. I mean, I was doing choirs and singing with my dad in the basement. So yeah, maybe 5.
That's a common thread we found with talent is that it's been
Starts young.
many people have started really young. So that's one of the questions I had for you. But welcome, man.
Thank you.
Thank
Good to
you
be
for
here.
coming on the show. I really appreciate this.
Likewise. No, it's great, man. I followed your show as well before, and I think you guys.
Oh,
have a lot
thank
of,
you.
You
Thank
provide
you.
a lot of value, so
Thank
I'm
you.
always happy to be a part of something like that.
Thank you,
Now you're
man.
contributing to the value with this episode. Now
Yeah.
we're just getting to the vault of knowledge, and you're part of it now.
Again, man, very humbled.
Dude, I have so many questions just in the 1 minute. So for the audience who doesn't know, we rolled in and Demetri was already here and he was just spitting fire like nuggets of gold.
Just
And
the information.
I just wrote down all the questions that I had. Not even going to use them. We have brand new questions that were inspired in the 1 minute before. Okay, here's one that I want to start with, just really vague, but it'll get the ball rolling. What do you know now about the music industry that you didn't when you started?
Oh my goodness.
So I'm just going to ask you a little question,
Out of all
but
the
it could
questions,
be a 25-minute explanation
That's
here.
the $1 million question. You know what? You're always learning in the music industry. So to say, I wish I knew then what I know now, I mean, it's evolved so much. I mean, guys, back in the day, I was spinning records and buying CDs, and I had cassettes. And now we're in a digital age.
Everything's digital. Yeah,
I would have
CDs
never
are-
imagined that we would be in the position that we are today. Because
True.
the technology didn't exist.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, we-
internet. I hate to say it, but I was born before the internet. So
True.
you
You've
know,
seen the evolution of change.
I consume music from the radio. I was the guy listening to the 12 o'clock, sessions on certain stations where people would say goodnight to one another and shout out, their boyfriends and their girlfriends. I haven't seen that happen in ages. I worked at a music store, I retail store. For 8 years, I was the guy behind the counter selling you CDs.
Selling the CDs.
Which I miss, man, because there's something special about going into a store and buying your favorite album or buying your favorite.
Yeah.
It's like it's
compilation.
bonding experience too with the people that come in, right? Because they want to
for
they want to
sure.
know some music. Maybe it's like, hey, I like Rage Against the Machine. You're like my friend. Let me tell you
Exactly.
25 other bands that you might like.
And people would trust you. Like at that point, they'd be like, "Hey, Demetri, I just bought this CD, and what would be good?" I'd be, "Dude, I got the song. For, I got the album.
I
For
got
you.
the album
I
you
got
love."
this for you. You like Lauryn Hill, you're gonna love this. You like Dr. Dre, you're gonna love this.
Definitely, yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you would say that the changes, because the question originally is, what do you know now? So now it's going to be insanely different. Like,
Yes.
you know what I mean? That all the change. How do you deal with that kind of it's changes that are unanticipatable. Back when you're picking up CDs and vinyl off of the shelf,
Yeah.
you can't possibly know that your entire music collection is going to be on your phone with Spotify or something.
No.
Do you know what I like?
It's
That's
going to be 85 gigabytes on your computer.
so
and
when the
that's,
changes
like what?
when the changes are that big, how do you prepare
predict
yourself
that?
at all in the music industry?
You evolve. You study, people that are doing it before you. I constantly say that in this business you have to adapt. You have to, be open to change, to evolution. In working for a music store was great for me because I was exposed to classical music.
Yeah,
I was
you were
exposed to hip hop.
everything.
I was exposed to back in the day, no doubt, and bands like that. Avril Lavigne. So
My girl,
So
my girl Levine, man.
I come from a place where I've listened and consumed so much music. And when people say, "Well, what do you like to write?" I just like music in general. Like I enjoy flamenco guitar, as much as I enjoy Tiesto.
It's all this.
I just appreciate the art of creating music and consuming music. So back to your question. Evolution, man. You got to be open to change, and I look for mentors and people that can teach me and give me nuggets. And I hope to be able to also pass that down to people, to people that are receptive of it. Because as I was saying to you guys before the show, I find that some of our younger culture is not so receptive to the maturity that somebody might have in the music industry, because they feel like they know it, or they feel that, back in the day, it was that way, but now it's this way. It was, and there have been changes, but it's all evolved to get to this one place.
And so those changes are super important to understand how we've got to
exactly
now.
Right.
Like,
it's like
we didn't just start with an MP3 track that you just download for
exactly.
a buck,
You got to know where you've been to know where you're going. I think that summarizes.
That's a great way to say it.
Yeah.
And we are. It's weird because we are at a point that I don't know that anybody ever predicted, where vinyls are again outselling MP3 tracks. Like people are going to it doesn't
And CDs.
Like CDs are you don't see, everybody's got a $5 CD bin.
Yeah.
But you don't see new CDs on the shelves or anything like that anymore. It's like, here's the newest Tool vinyl, for $80, and it's like, what? But that people are all buying them, and then they're sold out, and then it's like, but how did we get back here?
And that has to do with it being classic as well as nostalgia. But also, the sound that you get off of vinyl can't be replicated on a CD.
That's also the quality.
You're talking about digital versus analog.
So just because we are a general listening audience, do you want to dive into what the actual why people love the vinyl versus
that difference in the sound that kind of changes, that erupts,
So back in the day when you used to go into a recording studio, you used to record on tape, and it would give you a really warm analog sound. But the way that music creation has evolved, now we've got all these plugins and we've got all this computer software that digitizes the music. So you lose a little bit of that authenticity.
The authenticity,
that warmth. Even some of that crackle. Like when you listen to a vinyl, you hear a little bit of that crackle.
Yeah.
It's like a fire just in the living room at nighttime.
Yeah,
it just sounds beautiful.
There's something genuine. There's something genuine about it, and there's imperfections that you can appreciate. You don't get imperfections with digital music.
No, it's got to be perfect or it doesn't get released.
And this is why some artists even today are looking to try to get that sound. They'll go into a recording studio and they'll try to record on tape because they want that warmth. They want that connection that they're not getting out of a digital recording. Now, I'm not saying digital recording is bad, not by any means, but you can't replicate what you hear on vinyl.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
That was a good answer. That was a good answer.
Was it? Because
it's such a hard thing. So this needle itself, when it rubs on the vinyl record, creates an analog distortion that he's talking about. It's like this. Everyone's heard it.
Yeah.
But if you heard that in your digital music, you would slam
99
your
for
phone on the ground because it's broken.
What the F is this bull,
But it would also not sound nice because
wouldn't.
it's what we call unharmonic or non-harmonic or disharmonic distortion versus harmonic distortion, which is analog, which sounds nice. It adds layers to it. You get this warmth is the best way to describe it, even though it's not hot or cold as sound.
Yeah. But it's warm to your ears, man. It's warm to your ears. It makes you feel good inside.
It was a good answer. Well, listen, we're going up to the first break. We got to give our guests some time to drink his, I'm not allowed to say the brand name or else.
Yeah. Where's the sponsor?
Just messing around. Just
Kool-Aid,
messing around. Listen, Vitamin Water, if you want to give us a shout out or an ad or something like that, or some money to say your name on the air, let us know or something. I don't know.
Sponsor us.
We're coming up with Sorry by Justin Bieber and Comfortable by Valdi. This is our first intro. Thank you so much, Demetri James, for being here. We got way more showing up in a bit. DriveWire Radio, CFRE.
We're out. We are back. Nothing but truth is spoken in this studio.
Nothing but truth in the studio, indeed, Crawford.
And that means because from the guests, right? Because we're all about informative information and not criticize each other.
Okay, we were just talking about kind of. You said in the break. You said you're one relationship away from the perfect opportunity.
You're one strong relationship away
Strong
from the
relationship.
perfect opportunity.
Okay, you put the word strong in there.
Yes, because I mean, I think we all have relationships with so many different people, but there's that one person that could change our lives, and I think we were talking about Eminem.
Yeah, we all need that Dr. Dre.
There you go.
You know?
That's exactly. And how many people said no to Eminem, and then that Dr. Dre. And I don't know if you guys saw the actual documentary. I forget the name of it, but it was on the Defiant Ones, where
Thanks,
Dr.
Tom.
Dre actually went out on a limb for this guy.
Yeah.
It wasn't just, hey, he signed this kid that he thought was really talented, but he actually went to bat against labels and executives, really believing in him.
Yeah.
And that is rare.
And it also speaks to I hate to say it, but we also need to speak to the cultural time too, where it was a heavy African American community that didn't want to accept a white individual
Yes.
into that scene.
Yes.
That was very real in that 90s scene there, and that kind of was also another speed bump that it didn't matter. It
Right,
didn't matter to
yeah.
him because he doesn't see color, and that's a good way we should all live, but it's like that's also what helped him get by that, into that scene,
Sure.
which is huge.
How do you develop a relationship like that? Where's my Dr. Dre?
You gotta.
I'm right here, buddy.
You know what?
hey.
through your journey, you start to meet people. You start to meet good people. You start to meet people that are there for a season. You start to meet people that you really want to evolve with. And just as I'm evolving, they're evolving.
Mm-hmm.
And you would hope that when somebody sees value in you as a human being and as a creative, that when they rise, they'll bring you along.
They bring you
them.
with them, yeah.
And that's when you start to see the relationships forming. Like I have relationships, and I'm in a relationship right now with an individual that I've known for 15 plus years, and this individual's now evolved, and he's creating a platform that is going to change content creation. And hopefully in the new year I could speak more about it, and it all makes sense.
It'll all make sense next year, but right now,
Well, right now I'm just going to be cautiously optimistic
yeah,
because,
exactly.
as I said, at some point, there's a lot of great things going on in my life right now, creatively and professionally. But until they actually manifest and evolve, they're just work in progress.
They're work in progress.
Yeah.
It's things that are developing into something.
But there's excitement. So
Yeah.
there's always excitement. That's how I live. I live with wanting to be excited about something, and I'm a believer that you've got to create your own opportunities. Don't wait for
Don't
somebody,
wait for
don't wait for
something to
somebody
come
to
to
say,
you.
hey, you know what, you should do this or you should do that. No, go out there and create that podcast. Go out there and create that consulting firm. Go out there and create that promotions company. I wish that people would more, see potential and talent in people and want to help them grow. But I think sometimes you have to paint the picture for them. Not everybody sees what you
Not
see.
everybody can see what you're seeing, yeah.
And that's a lesson that I learned, that although I think that this song should be for this artist, unless I spell it out for somebody that's pitching the song to this artist, they might not see it. They might be like, I didn't think this could be for this individual. This just sounded like a good song to me. But no, it could be for this person. So I've become a lot more vocal in what direction I want things to go.
And that's huge too, because as you said, you have so much experience in the industry, that you have so much knowledge that, it's like that extra opinion of where you think things can go might be that key to the lock that ends up helping, that alley end up transforming into something excellent for the individual, which would be huge,
Like I said, I think a little earlier, that I have a destination that I want to reach, but on the road to that destination, it could lead me to so many different places.
Yeah.
And it has. And there's been times where I've been like, why am I doing this? Or why am I in this situation? And then I fall back and I say, well, it made me a better communicator.
Yeah.
It made me fearless in trying to reach out to some of the biggest names in the industry.
Yeah, and that's huge.
And that's paramount. And that's something that, I instill in people that I work with, the younger people or the people, on the come up, that you have to be open to be educated. If somebody's done it before you and they've been doing it for more years than you, no matter where you are in your career, no matter what the culture is, no matter what the technology is, you should definitely take some time and listen to that person, because they've been somewhere you haven't.
Yeah, they've done what you're aspiring to do, and can, even just hearing what they have said about what they've done to get there, that can help you. It's like what you can take away from the conversation.
And that's the key word, takeaway. hopefully people will get into a situation or a conversation and they can take something away, go back and be like, hey, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
Or why can't I do this now? And maybe, put a spin on it and change it a little bit.
Into their own way.
And,
and things,
maybe make it a little bit more current. How many products out there, guys, are selling at Walmart, for example, that, are just recreations of other products, but somebody just knows how to do it better?
Man, so that's a big thing that's going on with the app right now. This TikTok or something
There
like
you
that.
go. Yeah,
It's
of
literally
course.
just Vine again. But Vine died 5-7 years ago, so now we need to reinvent it as a different name and do a new, new spin on it. It just
Reinvention.
Reinvention, yeah.
That's another key in any creative field. You have to constantly want and feel the need to reinvent.
it's about damn time Hot Wheels be reinvented in my books. I mean, it's like
They're classics, man.
They're the
You
classics.
still see them. My 7-year-old still knows what a Hot Wheel is.
yeah, and I mean, so the brand hasn't died. Yes, that's good then. That's good then.
Well,
but
you got Mattel that keeps it. Well, I shouldn't be saying any names on here, but you got the company that
Sponsor
keeps it.
us.
Listen, Mattel, if you want to
Keeps it
sponsor
going.
us at DriveWire Records,
you want to send us some sweet DriveWire
I
Hot
will give
Wheels?
away so many Hot Wheels
Right?
on the show, bro.
Dude, it'd be such an engaging thing. It'd be such an engaging thing. But I get what you're saying. The whole brand dying and then rebranding, because at the end of the day, we're at a point where I hate to say it, but we've been in like a forward modern revolution of products for over 100 years now. You know what I mean? So it's like, I get that there is an idea of endless possibilities, but there's also a limited idea of possible different ways of things. It's like, and society's kind of known for rebranding and reproducing and then re-releasing. It's just kind of what we do. That's why we have so many Ghostbuster movies. It sucks.
There you go.
Totally.
Totally. And in the music industry, everything comes full circle. There's always a phase where hip hop is reigning supreme. There's always a phase where Sum 41 and like that whole indie rock thing was huge at one point.
Huge, man.
I mean,
huge.
My kids don't even know it existed. They're listening to all this.
It's a shame. It's a shame.
Yeah, more current stuff, I guess.
Yeah. It's just it's unfortunately the changing of the spotlight, so to speak, right? Like it's just where the spotlight's just kind of shifting from spot to shot.
And it's what you're being exposed to. I mean, I have a 9-year-old daughter that I go to all the time and say, "Hey, what's happening?
What's happening right now?
What's hot?" And believe it or not, when she brings these songs to my attention, I'm like, "I never heard this. I never heard this." But she's on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok.
Yep.
So
These are what's happening.
So I find value in that, right?
Yeah.
And as a music creator, you always want to be plugged in some way, shape, or form.
To the now.
Well, to what's happening,
Yeah.
and you can take what's happening now and you can create your own thing out of that as well.
And I mean I can't. I'm not a expert or anything, but it's like I found that it's so hard to predict what could be happening in even the next 6 months, just based off of what's happening now in the past 6 months.
Sure.
It's like, what is
You got to evolve.
the evolution? Like,
That's
how is
it.
this going to evolve? It's not going to be a Charmander to a Charizard or whatever.
For evolving in regards, I also appreciate the Pokemon reference that you just made under your breath. For evolving, so I wanted to know, like you specifically, as someone like being on the periphery of your life, you seem extraordinarily creative, and you don't really give the vibe that you run into writer's block a lot.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the way you laugh makes me feel like one, you maybe do get writer's block, and two, you just kind of answered the question. You said I stay plugged in. Like you're
Yes,
like I go to my
yes.
freaking daughter and get what she's listening to off TikTok, or I
Yes.
go to So all of that at the same time. Like how are you keeping yourself as creative, or how do you deal with the writer's block when it comes up to get yourself back on track?
I think keeping myself creative is a test. How do I say this? I give a lot of credit to that to co-writers. People that I choose to co-write with, because they come from a different walk of life. They come from a different background. They listen to different songs. They have different dialect. They use different words.
different perspectives, different ideas. out of
So
everything.
there's huge value in co-writing. I think, and I would encourage anybody out there that's writing music, writing songs, give co-writing a chance.
Don't be afraid of it.
I know that you might think you're Kanye West and that you're the best thing since sliced bread, but at the end of the day, a co-write could create something so magical. So co-writing keeps me definitely current and keeps me motivated. And
What are some things that have come directly out of co-writing for you that wouldn't have happened without it?
I mean, co-writing not only offers the opportunity for you to get into a room with somebody that might see music from a different perspective that you do, or might take a melody in a different angle than you do. But they're contacts as well. You know, I've got contacts, and then co-writers or people that I collaborate with have contacts as well. So it opens up your network that much more. You know, imagine if
That's huge.
Imagine if my business partners are pushing things and their business partners are pushing things. It creates that much more of an impact than just one person doing it.
Just one person, yeah.
So there's so many benefits to co-writing, not only the creative aspect, but, you know, just the reach aspect,
Yeah.
what you can reach.
I also found, specifically for me, that I would get more excited when I was co-creating with people. You know,
the
where-
ideas bounce, you know.
Yeah, and you're like, holy crap, I'm so happy that you thought of that, because this is where I'm taking it. And, you know, I get so
Exactly.
into it versus just making, oh, where am I going to go with this if it's only me? That excitement that comes with it kind of lights the fire even more.
Exactly. And like I said, you know, there's you could play a track, and I might write this way and you'll write that way. Now, how about if we take that and create something very unique from both of those vibes?
Yeah,
And that's what creates magical records, in my opinion.
that's cool, man.
So writer's block, yeah, I mean, we all get writer's block, but, you know, I just try to stay plugged into the culture. You know, my wife hates that I'm always on my phone, but I'm not on my phone just, you know, just to browse what my friends are doing. I'm on my phone to see what people are saying, or, you know, I love, how do I say it? Like, what's the thing that, you know, when you go on Instagram, you write a tag for yourself, or you write
Hashtag.
Like a hashtag?
not a
or-
hashtag, but a quote, like the thing that
Like a
represents
caption.
A caption.
Okay,
There it is.
okay, okay.
You know, I get some of my best ideas from captions. You know, because
Ah.
I want to write what's relevant. So, you know, when somebody gives me a caption, sometimes I like that as a title for a song.
Cool.
So I go into a session, I say, hey, Carter, let's write a song called Reflection. And be like, where did that come from? Like, dude, I just saw this caption. It said Reflection. I just think it's so cool.
Yeah.
So I'm
Interesting.
I'm the guy that's always digging deeper and deeper to find new concepts, new ways to say things, new motivations, inspirations. Yeah.
Really cool. Really cool.
So I'm not on my phone just looking at your life. I'm actually working.
You mean you don't just check out pictures of Stace and I on all our vacations and everything? That's not what you're. That's not
Hey
what you're
man,
up
I'm
to?
happy you guys are vacationing,
Okay,
and I'm
okay.
happy that you guys are there in the moment. But yeah, I think that you know,
You're
there's
doing
so-
important things.
Exactly.
You're staying plugged in. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna write dig deeper for that.
Dig
that
deeper.
part. Yeah,
Dig
I like
Deeper.
that.
Dig deeper.
Okay, I like that. Okay, so we're coming up to a break, but before we get there, I want you to kind of talk, because we're gonna play Gravity now, which is the single that you have coming out.
single.
Right?
Yeah, so it hasn't been released.
Oh.
Which is an
shit.
exclusive DriveWire release.
It hasn't been
well,
released.
premiere.
I'm putting this out with my partner Extra Kid in this project that I'm really excited about. We've got a really great vocalist on the song by the name of Michaelin. You know, she's building a fan base every single day, and I call it, you know, a really interesting record. You know, I would describe it as an eclectic record, and really just a vibe. You know, everybody that's heard it thus far just vibes to it and says, you know, that they connect with it in one shape or form.
Just hits the home button for them and they love it.
Yeah, well, like I said, we are still working on the release plan and the release strategy and how we want to, you know, expose this to the masses. But I thought it'd be really cool to like test it on your station and
You
be
guys, the
awesome.
guinea pigs. You
You
guys,
know?
the guinea pigs.
Let us
Listen,
know.
Yeah.
We're gonna turn it up in the studio. We're gonna listen here. We got Gravity with Extra Kid and F51 feat Michaelin, and then after that's coming up with Feeling Okay by Taboo and Twin Rova. DriveWire, CFRE Radio. Peace out. Check us soon. We'll be back after the break.
Welcome back, DriveWire. I might have got cut off. Welcome back. They heard Elcome back. Welcome back. CFRE DriveWire Radio.
So it's a little bit awkward, but in the
Little
break there, Demetri started throwing things, and he left in a rage, and he's gone now, and we're gonna have to
It's just
kill the
us
rest.
now. It's just us now.
Just
there's
kidding.
actually people out there listening that might believe you.
Oh my God! What did he do?
No, they can
There-
see through the wall. They know that you
There
didn't throw
might be people
anything
that
around.
actually might believe you.
That's funny. That's funny, man. Okay, so this is one of my favorite questions to ask people, and I think you're gonna have a really good answer for it.
Oh, boy.
So, in order
Oh,
to
boy.
succeed, what are some skills aside from the actual art itself? So, for a musician, aside from your musical talent, what are some skills that you should absolutely have in order to actually really make it
Communication.
Communication is a great one.
Communication is huge. I find so much value in reliable people, and that is very hard to come by. I find value in people that communicate. You know, if somebody has me writing a song, I want to know what they think of that song. You know, whether they like it or they don't. You know, I put the time into writing that record or, you know, working on that piece of work. So I find it important for them to communicate to me. And I learn from that. You know, if it didn't work or wasn't a fit, you know, what can I do next time that might change that and, you know, give positive results. So I would say, you know, you got to be a personable individual and you got to communicate. And, you know, as much as I don't like the word networking so much, because I'm not a schmoozer, I think it's important that you do keep in contact with people and that you do go out there sometimes and, you know, let people know what you're doing and see how they can complement what you're doing.
Compliments matter a lot too, right? Like it's like compliments. I almost feel that compliments are equally as accepted as criticism almost. You know what I mean? Like I want to hear what you think might be wrong with it, but I also want to hear what you think is awesome about it. You know what I mean? They both are very valuable to me as a creator almost.
Well, listen, as creators, we're going through so many emotions. Sometimes we're the most, you know, confident people in the world, and sometimes we're, you know, doubting ourselves, and we're asking ourselves if we should even be doing this.
Even do it, yeah.
So, you know, it's important to keep balance. You know,
How? That's a really good. So I
how?
love that you said that because a lot, like a huge number of the artists that I speak to, they understand that they have this, they actually have a talent, but then at the exact same side, they're like self-deprecating in their own mind. It's not it's not even when they're speaking to anybody else. It's just in their own mind.
sure.
But how do you find the balance between the guy who's like, yeah, I'm the totally King Tut versus, okay, I'm the peasant today?
I always assess myself, and I always look and see, you know, what is out there, and where does the level of what I'm providing, you know, where does it? How do I say? What's the word I'm looking for? Am I competing with people? Like, is my skill set, you know, where it needs to be? As creators, whether you're a painter, whether you're a songwriter, whether you're, you know, a filmmaker, I think we create so much content, and we believe that everything is incredible, you know, or everything, you know, we call it our baby. But you start to realize what gems you have in your bag when you start to get feedback from the people that you value in the industry, whether that be, you know, somebody at a label, or whether that be somebody that puts out music, or, you know, guys like yourselves, you know, that are always around music and creators and that sort of thing. So I do try to involve my peer group as much as possible in giving me feedback, and that gives me more confidence. You know, sometimes there's a song that I write that I think is great that isn't that great, and then there's a song that I write that I think is cool, but people are like, this is great. So, you know, I think, you know, I just recently heard that if you want to get an answer to something, you just got to ask. A lot of people are just scared to ask.
People are afraid to ask. Yeah, asking
People are afraid
questions
to
is
ask.
terrifying.
You know, like,
sometimes.
what did you guys think of that song Gravity I just played? Does anybody got any feedback from me on that one?
I liked it. If you're asking me genuinely, I liked it. It was a really good upbeat song. It was catchy.
Yeah.
It was,
Thank you.
you know what I mean? Like
The litmus test for me, and this is real. So when I started playing guitar in rooms of people, I knew I was actually getting pretty good when people were no longer watching me, but they were having background conversation. You know, I used to be offended, but now I realize they're actually accepting the music and its energy, and they're having subconsciously they're saying, okay, this is acceptable background music. I'm going to move on and do something else because the music is good. Because if you're playing really poorly, everyone's going to be like watching a car accident. They're going to be watching you.
Yes.
If you're playing maybe perhaps amazingly, they will be watching you. But once you are good, like you're in between there. Go ahead.
I just want to say something. The universe is always going to send you signs when you're on the right path.
Yes.
Okay? Whether that comes through a conversation, whether that comes through somebody wanting to put you in a different position, there's always signs that you're doing something right. And, you know, just recently, you know, I started to realize that not only was I involved in the songwriting process, but I was involved in the song creation process, from finding the right vocalist to finding the right producer to finding the right mixer. You know, I'm even at a point right now where I could humbly say that people will give me a song that they've started and haven't finished, but they feel like there's something missing. So they'll come to me.
You're the magician that can listen.
And I don't say this by tooting my own horn.
No,
But that's
no.
a sign that I must be doing something
You're
right.
doing something
if this
right,
guy that's
yeah.
making records with Zed is coming to me and he's saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, man, I got this record. I think it's great, but it's missing something. D. What do you think?
What is it?
What is it that it's missing? What can you do? What can you add to this to bring it to the next level?"
Ed, you're the guy to go to, though. It's
And that for me was a sign that I was doing something more than just being a songwriter. You know,
Yeah.
that maybe I should be on a consulting level, or maybe at some point, you know, my career might take me to an A&R position.
yeah,
you
the
know?
the door that you're still on the road, right? And there's still so many, as you said earlier, there's
Like-
so many roads that are diverts on that main road.
And this speaks to what Carter was saying, that, you know, the universe, there was an energy at that point that told you that you were doing something right. You know, you were intuitive enough to recognize that, hey, you know, before people were receiving things this way, but now they're receiving things this way. And your intuition told you, yeah, this feels right now. You know, intuition's such a big thing, guys. Like, you know, and I'm blessed to have really good instincts. And I call it a blessing and a curse, because sometimes my instincts really scare me because I know something's not going to work for me, or I know something is not going to go out the way that I wanted it to. And that scares me, but I have to accept it.
Gotta accept it,
And
yeah.
and then recognize, what can I do to fix it?
Yeah, why didn't it go the way you wanted it to, or what maybe was the issue that made it not go the way you wanted it to, or something like that. Yeah,
Exactly.
Just kind of a figure it out.
That's a really
situation.
good question. I really like that question.
And on that track, on that exact same track, your question was, what do you think about it? The conversation in the room was abundant. During your song, I was paying attention to it because I was thinking, what am I going to tell this guy on air about his song?
About the song.
And I was thinking, well, how do I pay attention to my own? And it's that. And we started talking about lots of things just right off the back. It got in there. And the times when I intentionally listened to the song, it was upbeat, it was warm, it was kind, it was fun. I liked it.
Thank you.
I
you.
did.
Yeah. And that's another thing I want to say too. Like, don't be afraid what's going to come out of the room. You know, I used to go in the room with preconceived ideas and concepts, but sometimes now I just go in and I just let the energy dictate where the song is going to go. I mean, that particular song, Gravity, like, I didn't know we were going to write a song called Gravity. But, you know, the voice, the beat, and the energy in the room lended to that.
It just helped.
You know, and you use the
create
word
that.
abundant, and I love words like manifest, abundance, and stuff like that. And yeah,
Value. You say value a lot.
Value,
you know what?
yeah.
I value the word value.
It's such an important word too, right? It carries such a good meaning.
Hey,
It's
man,
such an important.
because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, guys. You know, Bill Gates or, you know, Steve Jobs, the people that they've put in a position are in that position because they value that person. And I think it's also important that you pay it forward. You know what I mean? You know, we talk about compliments. If somebody's doing something great, let them know.
Yes,
You know, so many people
man.
want to hold it back, or so many people don't want to take the time to let them know. But it's so important that, you know, the people below us or the people that are on the come up know that somebody values what they're doing, and that's a sign from the universe. You know, that's what that's that sign that we're talking about. That they need that sign to say, hey, you know what, I'm on the right path
gonna
here.
keep going,
You know, I'm
yeah.
going to keep going. I don't have that hit yet, but guess what?
It's coming.
It's just around the corner.
Yep.
I never used to do affirmations, and I've recently come across crystals and affirmations, and I'm a man of faith, but I also find huge.
Value.
You know what? It might have came out, but I was actually thinking in my mind, what
other
else could
word
I
can I
say
use?
here? No, I oh gosh, that's a good one. Manifesting, like I said, I think it's important that we speak things into existence.
Yes.
You know, and I thought about this too before coming here, you know, that we live in a country where we've got 4 seasons, and it's really hard sometimes to stay motivated. When you
For
come
sure.
outside, like, guys, it's snowing outside today.
sucks.
A little bit, not
Yeah,
a lot, but it's
it's-
snowing
yeah.
outside
Yeah,
today.
for sure.
And there's no serotonin, you know,
Nope.
the sun is not there giving me that serotonin that I need. So how do I keep motivated? And that's when I realized that I've got to find ways to keep myself on the up. You know, whether it's associating with certain people, or whether it's going for a coffee, you know, my favorite coffee shop.
Just as simple as
just,
that, you know.
Just going out there and just, you know, just being part of, being in the moment of what's happening now.
Now, yeah.
you know, and stuff like this is amazing. I think, like, you know, Carter said, the abundance in this room. I mean, abundance is a great thing. Anytime you can, you know, put the word abundance in something that I'm doing or that we're doing, I think that,
It's fantastic. It's
yeah,
good.
like that's just pretty cool.
Well, I appreciate that, man. And it wasn't, I didn't just compliment you because you're on air. Like, I want to be known as a voice of honesty. And if I thought it was garbage, I want to be able to tell you that, especially on a show that
Oh.
we're hosting. So it was a real compliment. I meant it.
I appreciate it, guys. Appreciate
Okay.
it.
No worries. No worries. This is one that I'm excited to ask you about. You kind of just touched on it right now about keeping yourself up. But how important is it to kind of groom your inner circle and make sure those people are strong for someone as an artist?
Incredibly important. Incredibly important. I talked about reliability. I am in a position in my life right now where I choose who I want to work with. I didn't always have that luxury, but I am so choosy in who I want to work with, who I want to spend my time with, who I want to groom, who I want to, you know, help. Because, you know, I'm not going to lie. I've helped some people along the way, and that help hasn't been reciprocated.
Yeah, it never came back.
It never came back.
You
Now-
patted their back, but they never cared to pat yours back.
And there were times where I was bitter about that, but then I realized, hey, you know what? That moment, that person needed something, and I guess they got what they needed, and they're just, you know, I'm not supposed to be in that person's life for too long.
Yep. You helped them when they needed help, and unfortunately, that was it. That was, you know, they're not going to get your help again in the future, but you know, you did help them when possible, and you know, you did your part, and that's what matters. You know, you did your part to help them kind of, you know, to help everyone, I guess, at this point in time.
Yeah.
But
Listen, guys, I'm always about mentoring, and I'm always about helping people reach the next level and try to not make the same mistakes that I've made, or try to take some wisdom that's been passed on to me. You know, the one thing I want to say, you know, a very, very smart, one of my managers along the way that said to me was, you know, D, make sure to keep your relationships continuously flourishing. Don't just let the people behind the scenes speak to that individual. You know, don't just let your managers, your publishers, your label, you know, contact individuals. Like, you need to be
You
out
need to be
there.
that person,
You,
yeah.
you know, people want you. They want your energy. They want your abundance. You know, it's really important to take a role and really, you know, make it's your career.
Yeah,
The only
well, yeah.
person that cares about your career more than you is your, like, I mean, it's you.
Yeah,
you
it's
got to
you.
go out there, and you just gotta groom yourself. You gotta, you know, continuously push. And, you know, back to what Carter was saying, you know, sometimes I say something to somebody and they don't receive it so well because they might be stubborn at the moment, or they might think that, you know, they know better. And that's another thing I'm going to say. You know, take everything that your elders or people before you can provide you with, and take something away from that.
kind of hear the message that they're saying, not just kind of listen. Don't just listen to what they're saying. Kind of hear what they're trying to say, kind of deal. You know,
Exactly. I mean, there's a reason why people have been doing it for 15 or 20 years, right? There's obviously growth. So why not see that person and say, hey, this guy must know something if he's still doing it.
Yeah.
And if he's, got this contact and that contact, and his music is continuously growing and flourishing. So be open. Again, that's another thing. I'm just, again, back to the words that we were using, open. You got to be open to everything and take it all and, use it the way that you want to use it. But at least take the time to listen.
Yeah, just take it in, kind of deal. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what I hope they get from these shows, these episodes, because this, as you said before we went live, you're shaking, you were nervous, but the last 45 minutes, 30 minutes of conversation have just seemed the most ease of literal information flow from you to us, to the listener. It's all informative information that if you really just sit there and listen, as Niffen, he's written 5 pages, it seems like, of information though, but this is all takeaways. This is all valuable information that can help an individual flourish and grow and learn to, as you say, make those connections and make those relationships and not be afraid to kind of, jump off the diving board and contact those people, because the worst thing that can happen is they say no.
Exactly. Just take the initiative. Take the initiative and, go after what you want. And as I said earlier, you got to ask. And that sounds so simple, but it's so hard for people to do.
It's very difficult. The nerves.
You gotta ask.
nerves.
You gotta, sometimes we're afraid of rejection as human beings and as creators. We're always afraid of rejection, and that's why we're scared to ask. But it's amazing what can happen if you just ask somebody, hey, what do you think of this? Or let's start this business together. Or, just would you be open to this?
Would you be open to the idea?
That's a line that anytime I send somebody an email, instead of just sending him something, I say, hey, would you be open to me sending you something? Because I think it's important to say, hey, I respect your time.
Absolutely.
Would you want to hear something from me?
I'm not just gonna force it on you.
Yeah,
See, it's these little nuances of respect, right? It's like you're not just sending the email. I get that. Even at the Sound Drive or DriveWire at Sound Drive Records, all day long, just here, check my single out. Here's my thing. I'm like, dude, like, can I have your phone number so I can freaking call you and tell you why what you're doing is ridiculous? Like, no one's gonna want to click your link because there's people like Demetri who are gonna send you a, hey, can I send you something? Immediately, I like that person so hell yeah, send me something. And then when they do, I'm gonna actually open it.
Yep.
Versus clearly copy and paste, hey, here's my name, here's where I'm from, here's my this, and this is 7 links where you can find me. Like, one is I, and the other one's, hey, what about you? This is way more powerful than someone just spewing their garbage. Like, as a brand, what would you rather see your own self be represented as? Like a question that's so kind in the inbox, or just someone verbally barfing
Verbally
on you?
abusing you almost,
Where, you know what I mean? That's a level of professional that's awesome, man. I love that.
Appreciate that. Listen,
It's valuable.
I think it's important that we all respect one another and be sensitive towards people's times. We're not all going to be the best fit to work together, or, not every session is going to go the way we want it to. But that doesn't mean you don't have to have respect for somebody, And I think maintaining a level of respect is something that's important. And the one thing that I always do, no matter how I feel, because, guys, I'm on my downs, I'm on my ups, but I'm always diplomatic about things. Because, I find it important. You never know when you're going to need somebody or bump into somebody again, or what that person took away from that conversation, or that time you guys, saw each other at the Apple store. Again, I'm sorry, I'm giving you guys brands.
Listen, Apple, if you want to go ahead and sponsor us, Sound Drive Records, DriveWire,
iPads. Free
I will give out iPads and iPods all day long.
I want AirBuds.
By the way, recontinue the freaking iPod while I'm talking to you
iPod
directly,
classic,
Apple.
man.
What a great invention, man.
Oh my
was-
gosh.
Why'd they take it away from us? I don't get
Listen,
it.
what a great invention.
Very intelligent. I love it.
Yeah.
No, I'm really happy with it. Do you want to add to it? I had like 7 or 8 iPods and I loved them. I'm a wholehearted supporter.
My first iPod was the iPod Mini.
Oh, yeah.
And it was sold out, and I was chasing this thing like you wouldn't believe. And I still have it, and it's just such a great piece of
good piece of equipment.
Yeah,
Technology.
It really is.
Technology.
The
Yeah.
interface with the thumb and the wheel and the music, holy moly, man. That put an entirely new, only nodding heads in the room. For everyone who can't see, everyone in unanimous agreement, Apple should bring back the iPod. I'll buy a stock before you do that.
iPod Classic, bring it back. Bring it back.
We just talked about respecting time, and in order to respect your time, the audience, we're going to a break. We got SWM by Shiloh. We got Really Want to Let You Know by the oh my goodness, Really Want to Let You Down by the Mono Whales. Sorry,
There
guys,
we go.
train wreck in
There
the
we
mouth.
go.
You got DriveWire Radio, Carter Crawford, Demetri James, CFRE. Take her home, Crawford.
Thank you for listening. We're never going to let you down here, even though that song says really let you down. We're not going to let you down here, DriveWire Radio. We're all about bringing you up. You know?
I was just going to be quiet and
Just
see
gonna
how
let it go.
far that went.
Let it go. That's
Yeah, I
ending
know,
right there.
It's that
That's
abundance, man.
It
He's-
is,
he's
it
feel-
is, it
he's
is.
feeling the energy.
It is.
Woo! Ric Flair's in the
That's
building.
awesome.
The energy's up.
Well, listen, man, Demetri, this is the point where I proved to you that I was listening to you the whole time.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
This is the part of the show where I kind of mirror you a bit. I show you back what you said to me, and then if you want to elaborate, I always love when you jump in, cut
jump
me right
in,
off,
jump
elaborate on it.
in.
We'll go into a conversation. I'll run it back through to the next one. First bit, you said evolve. You're like adapt and change, and I love that you said study the greats. There are, when you think of classical music, almost everyone thinks of either Bach, Haydn, Tchaikovsky, or Beethoven, whether they know it or not. Bach, Haydn, Tchaikovsky, or Beethoven. Think of a classical song, freaking write it down, Google it, and I guarantee you, Bach, Haydn,
one
Tchaikovsky,
of the
or
three.
Beethoven. Guess what? They were all teachers of one another. 4 straight in a row generation. I'm pretty sure I have them in the wrong order. I'm pretty sure Tchaikovsky was first, then Haydn, then Bach, then Beethoven. But they were all freaking teachers of each other, and the only classical music that I can guarantee you is probably freaking
them.
Bach, Haydn, Tchaikovsky, or Beethoven.
One
So
more
when
time for the
Demetri-
people, my friend. One more time.
But the point is he's like, study the greats.
Yep.
There's not that many greats. So study the ones who are, and then you get signed to places in LA like Demetri did. I'm just saying, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. There's only 4 amazing people in all of classical music, realistically, pianists.
Study the greats and study the craft.
Yeah.
That's important.
I
too.
love it, man. I love it. You want to elaborate? Study the craft.
Study the crafts.
Listen, when I started in this business, all I ever wanted to do was be a singer. And, I didn't take on learning an instrument, which I regret. And it'll probably be the biggest regret of my life. And people say, hey, you could always learn. No, but here's the thing. I am working diligently to become the best songwriter that I can be, both from a melody perspective and a lyrical perspective and a concept perspective. You can't do everything. So find the people that complement what you do to make that product insanely amazing.
I love that.
Yeah, that's wow.
I love that. You
Great
have
way
to
to
be
say it.
you have to be A++ at 1 or 2 things and be F student at everything else, because you get A++ at those things for other people on your team.
Yeah.
I don't want a solid C student or B student. I'm not going to hire you on my team. I want you to be garbage at everything and really good at what I need you for.
And to speak to that, I find today, and not to put any of the younger talent down, but everybody wants to be a songwriter when they don't necessarily all know how to write a song. And, back in like Sinatra's day, he was humbly, gracefully appreciative of people like Paul Anka that would write his songs. Today, I've experienced great songs that get passed on by artists because the artist wasn't involved in creating the song. And that to me is ridiculously insane.
Yeah. Especially because the power, like the song has power. You can see a good song objectively. You just kind of strum the chords as you're singing the melody and hearing the lyrics. Like, there's objective power in that. And to turn it away just because you didn't have a hand in it is egotistical at best.
It's crazy
that's
to me.
crazy.
Songs can make careers, guys.
Yep.
And if you're not creating great material and your songs aren't reaching the highest of highs, ask yourself why. Maybe you need to bring in a co-writer. Maybe
Bring
you
some
need to
others
bring
in.
in somebody that has done it before you. This is why I say to you, like, even though, I'm a songwriter, I'm not the greatest at the technical stuff. I work with people that mix incredibly. I work with people that, record incredibly. And I'm a little bit scared of that process. But I am always studying the craft of being a songwriter. And I just want to be the best that I can possibly be. And I don't fake that I know how to do everything,
You're real about it. You're real. This is straightforward. This is who I am. This is what I can do. This is what I bring to the table.
Reliable at your core.
Reliability, big one, guys. I mean, we're speaking about that word a little earlier, and I have choices, and I will tell you right now with 100% certainty that the people that I bring and that I try to raise are people that are reliable, not only talent. Talent can only take you so far, and talent sometimes only lasts a certain season.
A certain amount of time.
But
yeah.
character in an individual and the reliability of a person can last a lifetime.
That's for life. I want to also speak to the whole writer thing there, because I think maybe a lot of people don't realize this, but like if we look at the major artists that releasing songs nowadays, they usually have in excess sometimes of over a dozen writers for a single track. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's they're not afraid to bring these other people in. They're not, they're not.
Well, and I think that's also happening because there's a lot of politics in the business, and we're
Speaks
touching
to
a
things we don't
darker
see.
place now, which I really don't want to go to.
I don't want to go there.
But
yeah.
but to be
Shine a
honest,
flashlight.
a song always starts sometimes with 2 or 3 people, but by the time it gets mixed or by the time it gets mastered, by the time somebody changes the snare, that's when you start to get to the 12 individuals.
You're just bringing people in.
But
just for these
usually, I
things.
will be honest with you, the core of a record usually starts with a good 3 people.
That's huge.
Yeah,
That's
I like
nice.
that. I
That's
like
nice.
that. look at the history, know where you've been and know where you're going. I really like that. I'm going to skip past it as far as like conversation, but it makes sense. Like look at where you've been, what's changed to give you maybe a hint at what's going to change or what can continue to change.
Even like study the industry of what worked in the past.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. I
Write
really
the
do.
future. Be
Yeah,
the
look at
future.
what's blown up before. Like understand why. Like ask yourself, how did like Crazy Frog like do you remember Crazy?
Of course.
How did that happen? Or like, yeah, I got laughs because everyone remembers it's so crazy. Like,
ridiculous.
how did it blow up? Remain consciously optimistic. I believe you said consciously optimistic. I love that, man. It's like to keep yourself intentionally positive, you know? But also you're very realistic about it. So you didn't want to drop a lot of names of the stuff that may be going down with you in order to make yourself look good. You actually kept it very private, even though we're on air right now, because it seems you want to remain optimistic. And even if something falls through, then you haven't killed a bridge.
I think it's important to, you know, more and more we're saying that it's important to keep things to ourselves until there's something to really to talk about, you know, because that comes into character comes into play as well. Like I said, I'm not a name dropper. You know, I'm proud of the people that I work with. I'm proud of the things that I've accomplished. And, you know, I'm humbly on a journey that I hope will create more abundance and greatness. So I don't really feel the need to you know, more so than not, the reason why I don't drop a lot of names or projects that I'm on is because sometimes they fall through. That's the reality of this business. You know, in order for something to go right in the music industry, guys, you need to have the perfect storm. You know, you need to have the right mix. You need to have the right vocalist. You need to have the right situation, the right distribution.
Even the right release date.
And the
you know what I
timing.
mean?
Yeah, I was just
timing
going to
is
say the timing.
huge.
There's so many great songs that go unheard because they don't have the right machine behind them. So, you know, that's why I try to stay
Keep
as
it
quiet.
I
Yeah,
can speak to
onto
that. I just learned today that Weezer dropped an album like a month and a half ago. I had no idea that they dropped a new album. I mean, the Teal was the last album that I knew they dropped. That was in the summer. Was a bunch of remastered old tunes, but there's been zero press, zero information. It just kind of happened. It's
Yeah.
like I feel as a Weezer fan, I kind of felt left in the dark. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they weren't dropping hints at, hey, I'm in the studio right now. Hey, I'm having an In-N-Out burger at the studio. Like,
Yeah, it's
you
just
know what I
kind of
mean?
like
They're just
here's
like-
an album.
Yeah,
We've been at it for so long, we don't
Yeah.
care anymore.
Exactly.
Which is like, whoa.
The element of surprise.
Yeah, and it didn't work. Didn't work. I wasn't surprised.
Another point.
I was pissed.
Another point was live with excitement. Live with excitement.
Did I say that? Yeah.
You did, and I love it because so many people, like especially creatives, like if you're not excited, like just quit for a little while. You'll get excited again.
Take a break.
Find a way, because if you're not excited, the stuff you're creating is garbage. Let me just say it. I'll be the guy who doesn't have to listen to your stuff to tell you if you're not happy about it. No one
not
else
gonna be
is.
good.
That is a sign that you need to regroup and refuel. Okay.
Yeah.
If you're not excited about what you're working on or the people you're working with, there needs to be a change. And
Now, would that be
don't-
environment? Would that be social standards? Would that just be situation?
I think that
Could
applies
be
to
anything?
I think it applies to everything. You need to be excited about what you're working on and who you're working on that with.
And with, yeah.
You know, how do I say this? I mean, if you've been doing something and you're not seeing results, there needs to be a change. At some point, you got to be, you know,
Willing to
say, hey, you know what, this isn't working. Maybe I need to change this, or maybe I need to, you know, get those spark plugs instead of those spark plugs.
I like that.
Yeah, man, change spark plugs.
Change the
Let me
spark
write
plug.
that down as an idea here.
You got the WD-20, it's the WD-40, damn it. You know
No,
what I
it's
mean?
right. It's right. Make some changes and
Yeah.
right along that line. You can inspire yourself too. So in order to re-engage with your excitement, you can co-create and co-write and co-network, although I kind of put that in myself. But you can re-engage your excitement and your enthusiasm by getting around people who are doing it as well and kind of picking up their energy and kind of re-getting into it that way as well.
And just to add to that, there's
Yeah.
for me, there's nothing more exciting than when I get into a room and a great song starts to come to life. Like that to me is like adrenaline. That to me is like that magic pill. You know, when I create something, or when I hear something, when some of my peers play me some music and I think it's absolutely, you know, amazing, like that excites me.
You get like a dopamine rush kind of deal.
Yeah,
You know?
like,
You
and
you feel good.
Yeah, like when I heard Despacito for the first time, I thought that was like, wow, like here's a song like Despacito hasn't come around in 10 years.
Wow, yeah.
Like that's one of those records that is timeless. And as much as I'd like to write records at that level, guys, 10 years there hasn't been a song like Despacito in that genre of music.
They just hit something. They just
hit something, and not only
Yep.
did they just hit something, but they created a culture that now, Miami was very slow at one point in their studios, and now they're booming because everybody's working on the next Latin sensation.
True.
So,
And that's with the changing of times. That's that's what Miami wasn't always like that.
That's another key thing, Crawford, and I should have mentioned this, that a lot of what we do comes down to the right timing.
Because we all know it's like swinging a bat at baseball.
We might be ahead of our time, we might be behind our time, but a lot of successful people get lucky because of the timing and because something just decided to spark in that particular moment.
In that moment, that time, that even genre possibly, that
Exactly.
spotlight, it just happened.
Exactly. So timing is huge in anything that we do.
Yeah, I could not agree with that honestly more. I really think it's also, I think, one of the hardest things too, because how do you know what even other variables to look for, what's going to happen when, or it's very, very difficult.
You don't. That's the thing about timing. You don't know.
You don't know.
You will learn that the time is now when everything starts to formulate and manifest for you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like that a lot, man. I really do. Next. Okay. I'm going to put these two together. So communication, being reliable, and getting feedback. I think those kind of, to me, they're related. Like somebody
definitely all related.
like communication's a two-way road. So if you want to get better, this is me communicating out. What do you think of this song, this info, this going out? Putting it out there and hearing what comes back to you.
Yeah, that criticism.
Oh my gosh, the number of people.
Because that doesn't offend me, right? It doesn't offend me what you say.
And I think there's like a barrier there. You mentioned creating barriers for yourself, where artists sometimes are afraid to put it out. They don't want to release their songs because a lot of times I hear, I just want to wait until I have the perfect song. It's like, but dude, you're never gonna write the
What
perfect
is
song.
the definition of a perfect song?
It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that happens a lot today. We don't see many albums anymore. So you're always looking at artists. They're looking for the next single.
Singles.
And they might write 80 songs before they decide that they found the right single. Whereas back in the day, 10 of those songs would have gone on an album. So
and then it didn't matter if it hit or not. It was still an album. People went out and bought it.
It was a part of that creative collective of music that shaped the record. So just because it wasn't a hit doesn't mean that they didn't play an integral part in that album.
It didn't build almost with the album.
Exactly.
One of the best things that I have found, I can't really drop an album off the top of my head that does it well, but an album that almost, actually, the latest Blink-182 album, it's a great example where the album, you can listen to it start to finish, and there's an energy that changes with it, and you feel connected with that energy, and you it's a change of the tune and the tone and just the way the music's presented. And I feel like artists don't do that as much anymore. They just focus on releasing, as you said, singles, and then let's say we have 5 singles, and then we got 5 other tunes. Let's release a 10-track album, but there's no flow to that album. There's no, there's no consistency in the sound. There's just, hard trap, light trap, country, and then pop, and you're like, what the hell was that?
And today there's a fear in releasing an album. Everybody wants to release an EP.
EPs have taken over, yeah.
I mean, and that's attributed to the singles game, really, because people are just scared to put together a large body of work.
It's like the idea of an album, but in singles. It's like a singles album.
It's just an easy way out. I mean, I can appreciate an EP, but if I was an artist that had a large body of work, I would want that large body of work to speak in an album. Like when I think of Coldplay, I think of Parachutes. Not just Yellow, even though Yellow is probably one of my favorite songs of all time, but the album Parachutes from start to finish,
great album,
is just a journey that for me is very enlightening.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel the same way about
Well, you're talking about your favorite band earlier, right?
Sure. Well, yeah. Blink-182 is not my favorite band, but they're pretty good.
No, but I think you mentioned Weezer.
Weezer. Yeah, just another band. Yeah, exactly though. But yeah, it's again, and I kind of go back, and we go back to the Pink album, or even I guess Green. I think Green was one of their first albums.
Yeah, and when people talk about Metallica, like, and this is we're going
Another
back
great-
to like some metal guys. I don't know if a lot of the youngins will even know who Metallica is, but or
You don't know who
Oh,
Metallica is.
they wear their T-shirts, so I'll tell you
Stop
that.
watching.
Everybody's
our
got a
show.
Metallica
Everybody's got a
t-shirt,
Metallica
but
T-shirt,
nobody
but
knows
like,
who
so what
Metallica
song
is?
from Metallica do you like? I don't know, man. I just like this T-shirt. It
I
looks really
feel
cool.
that way about Marley. How many people have Bob Marley stuff or headphones, and I'm like, oh, what's your favorite song? And they're like,
I like jamming, man. You like the one song that everybody freaking knows by Bob Marley. They're
Right.
like, are you serious?
But
That's
like-
not Bob Marley.
But back to what I was saying, like when I talk about Metallica, I talk about the Black Album. I don't talk about Enter
yeah.
Sandman.
No.
You know,
Yeah.
I talk about the Black Album.
Black Album, yeah.
So that body of work was special,
Yeah.
you know, and I hope that more artists take the plunge and dive deeper, as we said earlier, in creating that body of work and not being afraid of putting out an album.
I love that too because look, an album can have singles on it.
Absolutely.
And it
Yeah.
always did, though. An album always did have
get it,
singles.
And it was
man.
it featured multiple singles. It wasn't just like this is the song that defines the album.
But guys, not every song has to be a hit record in order
Yeah.
to be an appreciated record.
Appreciative. That's
It's
a big
true.
yeah.
No, it's absolutely
You know, like
true.
I think people have gone away from just appreciating songs in the moment and in the vibe that song conveys, and everybody just wants that easy, quick hook.
And that's
You know, and there's something to be said about that. You know, like there's a big difference in listening to a playlist that has consistent hooks and an album that takes you on a journey.
takes you on a journey, yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge difference, you know? And there's so much resources, it seems, being shifted away from the other songs on the album towards the single that people realize, like, well, let's just focus only on the single and not the
single.
album at all. But I don't think I like that. I don't think I like that at all. And same thing. I know you mentioned Weezer and Blink-182, and you mentioned Metallica, and for me, it's Pink Floyd. And I always think of again the albums as they go, not the particular songs so much. Really
The
good
Pink
point.
Floyd albums, those really are. It's almost like a movie.
No, man, that's
you know?
another show. That's another show.
Yeah.
That's another show. I got to move on with this summary here. The universe gives you signs when you're on the right track. I really like that you said that. I think that's so freaking true, man. That's so true. From the way the people look at you, from the way the people speak to you, from the offers that you're getting, from the people who want to shake your hand, from the introductions that you're getting, from the way that people are listening to your music, to the things they're actually telling you, to how honestly they're saying them to you, the tone that, like, the universe is telling you at all times.
Yeah,
Always. You can't get around this. Are you doing good or not?
exactly.
Did our show have more listeners this week than last week? What was the average listening time? Like, it's there. The feedback is there.
Yep.
And what I love about Demetri is he's learned from that. He's turned. You mentioned your intuition kind of scary here. That, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But-
it's a blessing and a curse.
but
basically.
you've what I love about it on the blessing side is you've seen it, you've taken what you can, and you've actually, okay, well, now that I have this feedback from the universe, how can I respond to that feedback? And that has elevated you. That's kept you up, so to speak. And I like that.
Seen, extracted, consumed, improved.
Yeah, no, I like that word elevate too. I mean, there's been a lot of big words in this interview.
Elevate is like 6
Value.
letters, I think. Yeah, value.
I think I'm gonna
Value.
I think I'm gonna coin that term. You know, if the Kardashians can coin a term or say what's that thing that she says, rise and shine, then I should probably be able to coin the word value.
I wanted to take the term cash flow, but Grant Cardone already did that. So Grant Cardone, if you're looking to sponsor us, DriveWire. Just kidding.
Or if Cash Money's looking to hit us up, we'll take any of that too.
I will
you
get
know?
a sponsor sooner or later for the show. One thing that I love, dude, this whole entire show. So two things, I'm going to put them side by side. We'll talk about whichever one you prefer. Spread the love. Recognition goes really far. If you see someone doing something right, freaking tell them your shoes look nice today. That's an easy one.
He does have nice shoes. He got jazzy shoes on.
No, I
There-
kinda like
some
them. They're cool.
some nice.
They got vibe.
I meant yours.
I
but
meant
that's
your
okay.
yeah. This guy's
my
yeah.
shoes, yeah.
Yeah, your shoes.
But beyond that, I really liked that hook that you wrote. I really liked that instrumental. Holy crap, that was good. Hey, the recording was clear. These positive words. You talked about speaking life into your projects.
So your communication.
The freaking best way to do that has got to be to give some life. And then imagine this. Demetri finds someone who's actually reliable
Whoa. Whoa.
and creative.
Whoa.
Could you imagine that happening?
And then
Whoa.
and then he's working with said person, And he's the only one in the studio, one of the only ones who's had enough like love for himself that he can tell the person around them, I think you did a really good job and not feel insecure about saying that. You know how much that reliable person wants to work with this man even more now because he has that philosophy?
Your saved is my favorite contacts list. Like this guy.
Yeah,
this
you make it
guy.
to their speed dial right away just for that.
I appreciate when somebody compliments me or shows nurturing signs towards me, so I try to give that back. That's what it just comes
That's
down
the
to.
best way, man. I love that, dude. You talked about keeping yourself up. You're like, I can't. You mentioned not having serotonin. I think daylight savings just happened, so it gets dark at freaking 5:30 or whatever.
So rough.
So keeping yourself up. You mentioned going to the coffee shop, or for me, it's playing cello and kicking Crawford's ass at some
He tries.
NHL
He
online.
tries.
Listen, I appreciate good conversation. Guys, this has been a great conversation. This has been a great 1 hour plus that I can take, and say, hey, this time was well spent. And
Well, I'm glad we didn't waste your time.
and not only about what we talked, but just your personalities, the energy that was in this room, the smiles that I saw, the smirks that I saw, everything, man. It was just a great hour, and I appreciate you guys inviting me to this. Both you two gentlemen that I call CNC Music Factory.
Yes.
Thank you for that. We
Yes,
appreciate
that's
that. We
coming
appreciate
back. I
that's
don't
coming
know.
back.
Dom and Francesco and Stacy and everybody behind the scenes that you guys aren't seeing, but yeah, just really happy.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. Yeah, we
really
appreciate
appreciate
that a lot.
that.
We really do.
That allows us to come to the final piece of the puzzle, which is take a front seat role in your own success.
100%.
Oh my God, I
And
love that line.
100%. And the thing is, we sometimes just trust people too much. And don't not trust people, but trust people enough and trust yourself and go out there and get those answers as much as you possibly can. At the end of the day, guys, I'm going to tell you something. And I'm not putting down anybody behind the scenes, but people want to work with you, not necessarily your manager, not necessarily your publisher, not necessarily your label. They want to work with Demetri. They want to work with Carter. They want to work with Crawford. That is what creates this entity. That is what creates the energy, not the guy writing the checks or the right guys, sending out the emails.
Yeah, I love that so
I love
much.
that,
Like,
yeah.
don't just get your manager to make the call. How about you make the call?
Appreciate
call.
your manager. Don't get it twisted. Appreciate your
Appreciate
manager. Show love to these individuals, but also take the onus of doing
Yeah,
things on your own and assisting in what they're doing as well.
Absolutely. I love that. And there's
Love that.
nothing wrong. Imagine your manager sets up some sort of date or time for a show, and you get on the phone and you dial a venue and you say, listen, I'm really appreciative to have the spot. I just want to let you know, I know all the details have been taken care of. I just wanted to call you myself and tell you that I'm grateful, and if anything can go right, thank you so much. Let me know.
Somebody's getting extra
That just gave
green
me
room
goosebumps,
treats
because that goes a long way.
Yeah.
Like, when
Oh
you
my
just said
gosh.
that, I was like, oh my God, like that is what I connect to.
Yeah, man, I love that.
Get humbled
And-
to hear that.
And we at DriveWire connect with you, Demetri.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you
Yes,
for
thank
coming,
you.
man. Listen,
Much
we're going to
love.
be back on
Much
next
love and
week,
gratitude.
Wednesdays
Thank
at
you.
5 p.m. CFRE Radio, DriveWire Records, whatever we're called.
Check the
DriveWire
Facebook.
Radio.
It's
Sound-
DriveWire
Soundwire Records.
Radio. Check the Facebook, the YouTube, the
Oh my
Instagram.
gosh.
We
will
website.
get Snapchat one day. We'll be talking to you sooner or later.
You can see my
Listen,
mug.
if
See
you have
Carter's
guests,
mug.
if you want to see the next guest, if you have guest ideas, if there's anything or anyone you want to know about, please hit us up. We are looking for that kind of a thing. See you next week, 5 p.m. CFRE.
DriveWire Radio.